Hi, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. I thought today we could talk about the SAVE Act. And the reason I want to talk about it, I have been seeing commentary on the left, commentary on the right, and it all felt slightly like a lot. like, you know, people running around. So I thought, well, let's just look at this and see what's going on. And everybody can make up their own minds, but let's have a clear idea of what's actually happening here. So the SAVE Act is an act that will be, it's passed the House and it's going to the Senate. It will require 60 votes to pass in the Senate. That's more than there are who, let's put it this way. Right now, the Republicans will probably vote for it. The Democrats won't. 60 is more than there are Republicans. So it's not super likely to pass unless some Democrats vote for it. So there's that. But let's talk about what it is and what's going on. You know, I've had the song in my head today. Let's talk about SAVE, baby. Let's talk about you and me. I don't know. Do any of you know what song I'm talking about? Anyway, that's been in my head. And now I can't get it out. Okay, so SAVE, it stands for Safeguard American Voter Eligibility. Act. So that sounds good, right? So what it does, it will require documentary proof of U.S. citizenship to register for federal elections. So the purpose is election integrity. It prevents non-citizens from voting. Okay. Now, let's see, where do we begin with this? So, if you're already registered to vote and you are going to stay at your same address, you can just vote as usual. You don't go into your polling place and have to show anything. You're already on the voter rolls and you can vote as usual. Now, if you were to move before the election and you have to update your registration, then you would be required to show proof of citizenship. The critics of it would say it sort of burdens eligible voters who, the proof of citizenship cannot be a driver's license. That would not be a proof of citizenship. What you would need is a passport or your birth certificate, or if you are a naturalized citizen, you'd need, your naturalization papers or your citizenship documents. So like a birth certificate from another country would not qualify. You have to prove your citizenship. Naturalization or citizenship papers, right? Okay. So these are the things that would qualify you. Now, if you're a woman like myself, my birth certificate does not match my current name because I took my husband's name when I got married. Now, I travel quite a bit, so I do have a passport, and I have already proved through my passport of my name change. So for me, a passport will work. If I were to move from my current address and had to re-register, I could take my passport and get it approved. To get a passport, when I got mine years ago, I think it was like $600 maybe to get a passport. Does that sound right? Am I crazy? I think that might be right. So if you don't happen to have a passport, which a lot of people don't, then, and you've changed your name to a married name, when you go to register again, you will need your birth certificate, but you will also need to prove your marriage with either a marriage license, I forget what else they call it, like some kind of proof of the marriage. Now, some places when you get married, they don't hand you the marriage license, it's on file. So you have to contact that place, and then sometimes you have to pay to have it sent to you. So I know that a lot of people are like, big deal, bring your marriage license. I have no idea if I still have I don't know. I have some files around. Maybe I have a marriage license. I guess I do. I must. But I don't actually know where it is. I'll be honest. My husband probably does. He's the keeper of papers. But I don't know that everybody would. Now, some women have been keeping their maiden names. And I can see why, because things like this can get complicated. All right. So that's what you would need. Now, here are basically, let's go over like what, okay, the people who are pushing this, and I think it came originally from Texas senator who started the SAVE Act. Is that right? I should have looked that up, but I think that's right. Now, what the benefits are, are basically, the basic thing is strict election security. And, well, let's just, okay. So, it creates election integrity. Because it ensures that U.S. citizens have registered, are only registered. So that can increase confidence in elections. And that's part of why they're saying they want it. It's because it has been shown time and again that there aren't many non-citizens trying to vote. And when you sign up to register to vote, you actually, under perjury, check a box saying you're a U.S. citizen. And they looked at like Iowa. They looked at 1.6 million votes, and there were 36 that were non-U.S. citizens. Well, I don't know what the percentage of 36 out of 1.6 million, but it's pretty slight. And they have checked this in other states too and had the same results. So I think even the people proposing the bill understand that it's kind of a non-issue, even though they're pushing it as an issue. So they're kind of saying it will increase voter confidence by having this. Okay. And then it creates national consistency, which means right now every state can do things differently. But this would be a national act. So it would make it so all states are doing it the same. The main thing, though, is probably their primary message that they want to be tough on election security. So I would say these are the benefits. Okay. The drawbacks is something called disenfranchisement. There's a risk of being disenfranchised. And, that's one of those words people throw around and people go, but what it can do is prevent eligible voters from voting if they lack the proper documents. So if you're a person who doesn't have a passport, and I know people are like, everybody has their birth certificate. No, there are a lot of people, especially like older people who were born before records were kept the way they are now. They may have a very hard time. Some people don't even know where they were born or where their birth certificate is. Like, I know that might sound crazy to young people, and if you've been on the voting records forever, you've never had to prove that you're an American citizen, but then if you move into, you move out of your home into a smaller house, let's say you move into your nursing home or something, but you still want to vote, you're going to have to prove it. And if you're a married, imagine you're an 80-year-old woman, okay? You have now moved into your retirement community. Now you have to prove with a birth certificate and your marriage certificate, if you've changed your name, which most people from that era did. It could be tricky. It could be tricky. That's just one example, but there are plenty of those kind. So that would be a drawback, is that it could prevent eligible voters. Another thing is just the states would have to be the ones taking all these documents in, checking them, updating the files. So it's a giant administrative burden. And I know you might say, well, they have to do that anyway, don't they? Yeah, but they don't have to check every document every time somebody moves from house A to house B and just re-registers. It's a lot. It's a lot more than what they're doing now. They'll need to verify documents on millions of voters. Like marriage certificate type documents. And they're going to have a lot of people who are just calling with questions or emailing with questions about what exactly they need. That's all administrative stuff. So the other thing about it is, it seems it will have a pretty limited impact on any fraud, because already non-citizens are not allowed to vote, and it's extremely rare. You can go and look up the numbers, but it's rare. States already maintain voter rolls. They know if you have voted in the past. They can see how often you voted. So let's go back to that 80-year-old woman who might move into a retirement community who now has to prove all this. They can look back and see that that person voted since 1940. They have been on the voter rolls, but that's not enough. That person will still have to prove, either through a passport or birth certificate, marriage license if they change their name, who they are. And like I said, not everybody has passports. I was kind of looking this up because people who make less than 50 grand a year, 50 G's, can we write that? Only about 21% have a passport. Now, if you make between 50 and 100, it's 44% of those people have a passport. And then the more wealthy you get, the more money you have to travel internationally, or you'll do that with work, then you're much more likely. If you make above 100,000, then you're like, I think 64% have a passport. So this hurts lower income people more than it hurts higher income people. So that's something to think about. I was looking up, other cases of this having been done, and states have done this. Like in Kansas, it was like in 2011, for a couple of years, they made a strict law about that was very similar to this. And it turned out that 30,000 eligible voters and very few non-citizens were struck or couldn't vote. And so the courts struck down the thing in Kansas. They're like, this is just voter suppression. I don't know if that's what the court said, actually, but it was. So, like, there were 30,000 people just in Kansas election who couldn't get a hold of all this information or couldn't afford to have it sent to them, or, I don't know what the reasons are, but they weren't eligible to vote. There have been other states who are trying things, Arizona, Georgia, but it's more complicated to it be the administrator of all this than it is to just look back. And the thing is, if they look back at voter rolls and they find out a non-citizen has been voting, it's not like most people who are not citizens will not intentionally try to vote, because if you get caught, there can be penalties. It's a federal offense, and so you could have to pay, you could have to go to jail. But most upsetting, I think, to people is you'd very likely be deported out of the country. So it's pretty rare. It's not like something that's happening all the time. And the little bit it does not change elections. Yeah, but the main thing, the proof will not need to be at the polling place. Don't feel like, oh, I can't go to the polling place because I need to have my passport or whatever. If you're already on the voter rolls and you haven't changed address, you just show up at your polling place, you'll be fine. The problem is if you've changed your address, or if you're very first time registering to vote, then you'll need these things. So if you're like a young person who's registering for the first time, you'll need to bring your birth certificate or naturalization papers or passport, I guess, if you have that. If you're if you've recently gotten married, you'll need to bring your marriage license to prove your name change. If you're moving, you'll need to bring your passport or birth certificate. Everybody, or naturally, one of these. But if you're moving and married, that's where you'll have to bring these plus your marriage certificate. Yeah. So that's the SAVE Act. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. They do reviews of these ballots. And it's not the states who do the reviews. It's like other organizations, academic reviews. And they look at millions of ballots, and it is very rare. And you can look this up. I'm not making it up. But it's very rare that non-citizens are voting. Because we already have systems in place, and it's already illegal. So do you want to know what my real feeling is about it? This is the Texas guy who's starting the SAVE Act is a Republican. And I think it's a little bit of like a way to get the talking point started in the, Republican media, that the elections are not safe right now, that the elections are unsafe. And it'll probably be voted down in the Senate, and they'll say the Democrats voted it down. They don't want it because they want unsafe elections. And that's why it's being called the Safeguard American Voter, because it's like, it makes it sound like it's unsafe right now, which it is not. It's been proven time and again it's not unsafe. So, that's just my opinion. I'm putting in my 2 cents. That's what I think it is. So that later, if they want to try to start saying, what do they say? Fake election or something. Not fake election, but stolen. They'll have a better chance of pushing that narrative. It's just politics. It's all politics, guys. Everything's politics. But that's what I think is going on. Because usually when one of these things comes up and it's not run by two, like if you have a Democrat and a Republican pushing something, it's more likely to be something you want to like look at. But when it's just one side pushing it, it's probably just political. And I would call this political. It's to get talking points going before the midterms that the elections are unsafe, which is a terrible thing to push. Really, it's not great. Oh, I know the other thing that I forgot to mention. Doing this can also make it so that states have to kind of cancel out mail-in voting or early voting, because they would have to have all the proof of citizenship before. If this happened before the midterms, they would have to straighten this all out before the midterms. They probably don't have the people in place to get it all set up. So there is some thought that it could stop early voting and mail-in voting. Now, I think it's curious in a way. The reason why I say I think this is just to create a talking point is because if this were to pass for the next couple voting cycles, in my humble opinion, I think it could hurt the Republican Party right now, because it's kind of confusing, because I think this would hurt lower income, rural, older people. And I think a lot of those people are currently, a lot of them were probably Trump voters. So if a lot of those people all of a sudden realize they can't vote, I don't know. But in the long run, it'll just cut down the amount of people voting. Because if you look at Kansas, 30,000 people couldn't vote. We'll take that and put it all over the whole country. It'll be so many people who are not able to vote. And, that's not good for anybody. That's not good for our system, I don't think, personally. So that's where I stand on this. And I would say if you care and want to let your senator, it's kind of late for the House. They've already voted, but you can go ahead and let them know how you feel. But write to your senators, look up who your state senators are, and let them know, what you think and why. And they may or may not care. I don't know. But that's what you got right now. So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, that's what, if you're seeing that show up, I don't know if everybody sees the same thing I do on social media, but right now I'm seeing a lot of social media posts in both directions. And you read either one and you go, well, that kind of makes sense. Sure. But once I looked into it more, I was like, okay, that could be pretty tricky for some people, just to try to be able to vote when they're legal. They're legal people to vote. Like I say, you can't just bring your driver's license. That's not enough. That doesn't prove citizenship. So let me think if there's anything else I wanted to say about that. I don't think so. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's all I have on that for now. But I'm still thinking about it, All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act benefits strict election security, election integrity, national consistency. Drawbacks prevent eligible voters from being able to vote. It's administrative burden for the states, and they may not be able to keep up with it. Limited impact on any kind of fraud. What you would need to register to vote or re-register to vote: passport, birth certificate, naturalization, or citizenship papers. Anyone with a name change may need additional birth certificate or legal name change records. Foreign birth certificates are not sufficient. You would need your citizenship documents. So if you lost your documents, that's a significant problem. The amount of people with passports changes with wealth. Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. This has been put forth by a Republican senator from Texas whose name I can't think of. I think that's correct. It has to pass the Senate with at least 60